A very warm welcome to all of you. I am your course instructor Arfa Tariq. Today's lecture is one of the very important topic in English communication for tech world. Reading and critical reading of technical text. Whether you are an engineering student, a computer science major, or entering in any technical profession, you will constantly deal with technical documents, reports, manuals, research papers, project proposal, date sheets, and even emails that include highly condensed information. So, being able to read these texts quickly and accurately is not just a skill, it's a necessity. In today's lecture, we will explore how to read technical material effectively, how to extract information, and how to evaluate what you read with a critical mindset. So, now the question arises why it matters, why reading technical text matters for all of you. Technical professionals must often process, report, manuals, research papers, and data within short deadlines. You can also take a quick decision based on written information. Technical professional must often compare models, specifications, or results. That is why skimming and scanning save time, reading for gist and detail improve comprehension, and interpreting charts and figures helps in analyzing and decision making. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to differentiate between skimming and scanning. You would be able to read for gist and for detailed understanding. You will apply for SQ4R model for deep comprehension, and you will be able to interpret charts, graph, and tables accurately. So, first of all, we will focus on and get to know what actually reading is. Reading is a cognitive process where brain decodes words and symbols to create meaning. It is an active process, which means you are not just saying the words, you are making sense of them, connecting them to your prior knowledge, analyzing them, and sometimes evaluating them. Technical reading is more than just understanding vocabulary, it is about understanding information, logic, and data. Now, let's discuss the core reading strategies you will use in the technical world. First one is the skimming. Skimming means reading quickly to get the main idea of a text. You are not reading every sentence, you only want to answer one question, which is what is this text about? So, in skimming, you get the gist of the text. As I have said earlier, you don't need to read every word, but instead, you let your eyes move quickly over the text, focusing on key elements. How the skimming works? You might be thinking that how this strategy actually works. Skimming In skimming, you can read the title, headings, and subheadings. You can glance at images, graphs, tables, or charts. You can read the introduction and conclusion. You can read the first and the last sentence of each paragraph. You can also notice bold, italics, or highlighted words. You might be thinking when to use skimming. To decide whether the text is relevant before deep reading, when reviewing something you already read, when preparing for a meeting or discussion and need an overview. So these are the condition when you can use this skimming strategy. Moving on, we have another important strategy, which is scanning. Scanning is reading quickly to find a specific information, or we can say that it is a kind of a reading which in which we have a specific purpose to locate particular information within a text. Here you are not looking for overall meaning, you are searching for one particular fact. So, how scanning actually works? Know what you are searching for. The first and in the important thing is that you should identify the specific information which you are looking for. It could be in the form of a name, it could be a date, a number, or keyword. In scanning, you need to move your eyes quickly across the page, or you can also say that let your eyes dart across the page. In scanning, you can use headings, bullet points, tables, and formatting to locate information. Now, when to use scanning? You can use scanning to find an answer to a specific question, to look up a word in a dictionary, on phone number in a directory. You can also use this scanning to find a fact or statistic in a report. Here I have an example demonstration for you. A small text which is the new battery technology reduces charging time from 2 hours to 30 minutes. It increases capacity by 25% and improves safety by using solid state electrolytes. So, when you will be using skimming strategy, the one question which comes into your mind is what is the main idea? So the main idea of this text is battery technology improvements. And when you would be using scanning strategy, you can encounter a question like this, which is how much faster is the charging. So as in this strategy you look for a specific information, so your eyes directly land on the answer, which is 30 minutes, which is actually in the form of figures or numbers. So we can also discuss why scanning is useful in technical reports. The third strategy is SQ4R strategy. SQ4R is a systematic and comprehensive reading strategy which is designed for deep engagement with academic or technical texts. It is a method for active reading that helps improve comprehension and retention by breaking the process into 6 distinct steps. Now, let's look at what actually these 6 steps are. The first step is in SQ4R, the first S it represents survey, which is skim the text to get an overview of the content, looking at headings, summaries, and visuals. The Q in this heading represent question, which is to formulate questions about the material based on your survey. In this strategy, what you actually do, or in this step what you actually do, is you turn your headings into questions like who, what, when, why, and how questions. The third step is to read the text actively, seeking answers to the questions you have created. The next step is to recite. After reading a section, close the book and recite the main ideas and answer to your questions in your own words. The second last step in SQ4R is to relate. You need to connect the new information to what you already know. How does this concept fit with your existing knowledge? These kind of questions usually pop up in your mind when you are at this stage. The last but not the least is the review. In review step, you go back and review your notes, the text, your questions to reinforce the information and move it into your long-term memory. So this model helps with deep understanding, retention, and application of the knowledge which you are reading. The very important reading strategy is the critical reading. Critical reading goes beyond an understanding what the text says. It asks you to evaluate how well the text presents its arguments. We can also say that critical reading is an active analytical process that goes beyond simply understanding what a text says, like I have just said. It involves a deeper examination of the author's claims, arguments, and evidence. The goal is to form a reasoned judgment about the text quality and validity. The key aspects which you need to concentrate while doing a critical reading is: first is analysis. You need to break down text into component to understand its structure, purpose, and argument. The next important aspect is the interpretation. In this aspect, understanding the author's intent, the context of the writing, and the implied meanings is important. The next aspect is the evaluation. In evaluation, you assess the strengths and weaknesses of the author's argument, identifying potential biases, and judging the credibility of the evidence. Moving on, there are some questions you ask yourself while critical reading. What is the author's main argument or thesis? What evidence is provided to support the claims? Is it reliable or relevant? What are the author's assumptions? What is the author's purpose in writing this text? How does this text relate to other information you have on the topic? So, critical reading is essential for technical fields where decisions are evidence based. Now, let's move towards another important topic, which is interpreting charts, graphs, figures. Whenever you read technical document, whether they are reports, research papers, proposal, feasibility studies, or technical manuals, you will notice that authors use visual data instead of long paragraph. This is because visual data allows reader to understand complex information quickly. We commonly use visuals such as line graph, pie chart, bar charts, and tables. Each one serves a different purpose and help us understand data in a unique way. So today we will learn that not only what these visuals represent but also how to read them correctly so we do not misinterpret the information. You might be thinking why visual interpretation matters. Visual interpretation is an essential skill in any technical field. Engineers, IT specialists, researchers, managers, and students all rely on visuals to make quick, informed decisions. Technical documents often contain large amounts of numerical data. If we try to read everything in paragraph form, it becomes extremely time consuming. We will summarize this data clearly and efficiently. However, visuals must be interpreted accurately. A wrong reading of a paragraph or a table can lead to incorrect decisions, such as misjudging performance, misunderstanding result, or making a wrong prediction. This is why visual literacy is considered as a core communication skill. Now let's move towards first of the visual representation, which is a line graph. Line graphs are one of the most commonly used visuals in technical fields. They are used to show changes over time or changes over a period of time. The horizontal axis or x-axis usually represent time, like hours, days, months, or years. The vertical axis or y-axis shows the values being measured, such as production output, website visitors, electricity consumption, sales revenue, error rate, or temperature. Line graph help readers identify trends like, is the data increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it stable or fluctuating? These are especially useful when you want to show patterns like seasonal behavior, yearly progress, or technical performance over a specific duration. Now, we should question ourselves how to read it, how to read a line graph. When reading a line graph, always start by examining the state point and the ending point. This gives you a basic idea of whether the overall trend is upward, downward, or stable. Next, look for peaks, which represent the highest values, and dips, which represent the lowest values. These points help you understand critical moments, for example, when production was highest or when errors were lowest. If graph shows multiple lines, compare them. Which one is above? Which one is below? This comparison tells you which category performed better. Line graph reveals performances, growth, decline, or stability at a glance, which is why they are extremely valuable in technical communication. As you can see in this picture, this is a demonstration of a line graph. As we can see that there are two lines which are showing some variation. By using a comparative analysis, you can see what these lines actually depicting. Moving on, we have pie chart. A pie chart is used when we want to show how a whole is divided into different parts. It is a crucial chart divided into slices, and we can also say that it is actually a circular chart divided into slices, and each slide represent a percentage of the total. Pie charts are very easy to understand because of the size of the slice visually communicates the importance or contribution of that part. Pie charts are often used for market share comparison, budget distribution, resource allocation, users demonstration, survey results. Whenever the information presents part of a whole, a pie chart is one of the best visuals to use. Now, how to read a pie chart? To read a pie chart, start by identifying the largest slide. This slice represents the biggest contributor. Then identify the smallest slice, which shows the lowest contributor. Next, read the labels or percentage written on or beside the slice. These labels explain what each slice represent. Remember, pie charts show relevant proportions, not precise values. They are ideal when you want to compare categories quickly, such as which compartment spend the most money or which company control most of the market. Through simple visual comparison, pie chart help readers to understand the distribution of data easily. As you can see in this pie chart, it is showing a frequency of apples, bananas, oranges, grapes, strawberries, which is actually a frequency of fruits, different categories of fruits. So this is an example. You can see how actually a pie chart looks like. Next, we have the bar chart. A bar chart is used for comparing values across different categories. Bars can be vertical or horizontal. The height or length of the bar indicates the value. The taller the bar, the higher the value. The shorter the bar, the lower the value. Bar charts are ideal for comparing monthly sales, tracking websites traffic, comparing performances of different products, analyzing multiple departments, evaluating student scores. They give a very clear picture of which category is performing better or worse. Now, how to read a pie bar chart. When reading a bar chart, your first and foremost task is to identify the highest bar. This tells you the best performing category. Then identify the lowest bar, which shows the weakest performance. Next, compare the difference between the bars. Are some bars close in height? Are some specifically taller? Look for the patterns such as steady growth, sudden drops, equal values, irregular variation. So, bar charts are basically useful when the goal is simple comparison rather than exact numerical accuracy. As this is an example demonstration of a bar chart, so you can see how bars are made on the x-axis and its reading can be seen on the y-axis. We can compare the values, it depends. Next important visual interpretation is of tables. Table present data in a very organized and structured way. They are made up of rows, columns, which allows reader to view precise numerical information. Tables are used when accuracy is important. For example, technical reports, scientific research, product specification sheets, machine comparison, performance record. While graphs show patterns and charts show proportions, tables show exact values. Yeah, you are listening right, that tables shows exact values. They are the best choice when you need detailed comparison or when numerical precision is required. How to read tables? It's a very important question, that how to read tables. To read a table effectively, always start by reading the headings. Heading explain what each column and rows represent. Without understanding the headings, the numbers have no meaning. Then move row by row or column by column to compare the values. It actually depends on the nature of the table. Look for the highest and the lowest values to understand the extremes. Tables are useful when you need to compare product models, test results, budget items, performance matrices. So, as tables show precise data, it allows for better decision making and technical environment. As you can see that this is an example demonstration of a table. It has three major heading, which is a day, frequency and response, and it is giving exact values which we can see in this table. So this is the most precise data which tables represent, and it definitely helps you to understand your technical environment, your technical work in a very better way. So if we combine or if we conclude, we should remember that each type of visual serves a unique purpose. For example, graph helps you see trends and patterns over time. Charts help you understand proportions and how different parts contribute to the whole. Tables provide exact number for detailed comparison. In technical communication, visuals are not just decorative. They are tools that improve understanding. When you master the ability to read these visuals, you become a more efficient communicator, a better analyst, and a more competent professional. This skill is essential not just for academics but for your entire career in technical world. To conclude today's lecture, I would like to say that reading technical text is not simply about understanding words. It is about understanding information, data, and arguments. By applying skimming for speed, scanning for precision, SQR for deep comprehension, critical reading for evaluation, visual interpretation skill for analyzing charts and graphs, you will become a more efficient and confident technical communicator. These skills will support you in your academic journey and will be essential in your professional life. Thank you for attending today's lecture, and I look forward to meeting you in the next lecture.